Hope everybody's having a blessed night. I just jumped on here for a minute to have a little combo, a little 1-2. Yeah, and this is pretty much about healing. That's mainly what I talk about when I come on here. It's like healing, you know, cause yeah, we all have, we all build up certain wounds and get cut sometimes, and we have to find a way to heal them back, and sometimes it don't be in the most constructive way, and that goes for me myself. I've done things in unconstructive matters when it came to like healing myself, or when it came to like even like the pain I felt or like the fear that I felt. I've kind of been kind of unconstructive. And what I mean by that is like, for instance, when you feel pain from another person, and the pain usually comes from some kind of fear. It usually comes from a fear of, for instance, for me, the fear for me is like being belittled, being disrespected, not feeling worthy enough to somebody, being taken for granted. Those kind of feelings are feelings that, like, that I fear. Like, I fear those things. So when I experience those kind of things from another person, it it makes me feel some sort of way. Whether it's anger, whether it's resentment, whatever the case. But pretty much, those it's those feelings that only poison your insides, that only poison you. It's like a poison, pretty much, a deep wound. And when you act on these things with like anger or resentment or uh, sadness, for instance, which it's normal to get sad from things, but I mean, there's always a better way to deal with your emotions. We might get a little bit sad, but I mean, you know some people stay sad for a long time, which is like usually comes from a deep wounding, and they don't know how to really resolve it or heal it in the best form or manner. A lot of us will feel a lot of shame and guilt too, from the certain anger or the pain that we're feeling. For instance, like, I've I felt disrespected by people, or like I felt hurt by someone and taken it to the extent of putting my hands on them, because I feel disrespected, or I feel like I'm being taken for granted, or just in that sense. And I go to the extent because it's like, this person, or whoever the case, whoever it was that I've done this to, they are feeling some kind of pain. They're feeling some kind of pain, so they have to release that in some way, and they've released it. They've done it in an unconstructive way too. They're taking it out on the person that's speaking to them with some kind of attitude, or some kind of disrespect. So they'll talk to you in that sense, to kind of release that pain, release that poison onto you. And now you've received that poison, and they probably feel better for doing that. But then now you feeling some kind of poison, and there's a next buildup of their poison plus your poison. So now you've added your poison in there, because you have some deep wounds. You've added your poison in there now, and then it builds up to something where you might release it back onto them in a totally different manner, in like a more intensive manner, if that makes sense, to where you're getting violent and you want to actually punch somebody or do something to somebody. So you got to be, I would say, it's when it comes to like healing yourself, I feel like it's more about awareness, and the actions and the steps that we take. Because for instance, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go put my hands on somebody, or say for instance, somebody beats me up, and now I want to go to the extent of going and killing this person. It's taking a situation that's went wrong and turning it worse. And what we put out, we always receive back. So that's the only reason why I'm not saying that you're guilty. You're not guilty for wanting to go to a next extent to what the person did to you. I'm not saying that you're guilty, because nobody's really guilty. Nobody is really guilty for these actions when you are sick. This is a sickness. It's a disease. It's poison in your body. When somebody goes to the extent of ridiculing you or belittling you or making you feel low, and it's affecting the poison that's already in your body and making it grow, and you end up doing something back to this person to get even or to get some kind of justice, you shouldn't really feel guilt for that, but there's a a majority of us that we wanna do right by others. We wanna be good. Nobody's perfect, but we wanna do our best to be a positive person, and we find ourselves feeling really guilty when we go when we go over the extent, that a person does to us, you know, um, and it's to say you shouldn't really feel guilty. The real key to this, the real key to healing these poisons is to be more aware. Is to be more aware of your surroundings, be more aware of the people that you're in contact with on a regular day basis. Be aware of the decisions that you make when you're poked at, when people poke at you and people try to, it's because they're pretty much trying to draw this energy out of you. So you have to be very aware and very discerning when it comes to the decisions that you make if you want to heal from these poisons, if you want to release these poisons, because there's always a better way to release poison out the body. It's just that most people in this society, you know they take the easiest way out, and it's not really even healing. It's not even healing to them. It's more of just, they just want to release it on somebody, instead of actually going about it in a more constructive manner. And it's not to put any blame on them, it's not to put any shame on them or to say that they're a bad person, because, you know, good and bad is really black and white, at the end of the day. It's really black and white. A person could have some poisons in them and still be doing a lot of good things. So at the end of the day, it's really black and white. But at the same time, a lot of us are sometimes unaware that we're walking around with these deep wounds that actually need some healing and need a more constructive manner of going about healing them, or you're just gonna end up poisoning other people. You're gonna end up being a parasite and just passing it on to somebody else and making the problem even bigger, you know. Uh, so yeah, I would say, because like at a young age, like when we're kids, when we're children, it's like we're really like pure hearted. We're happy. We're so creative, full of joy, and it's like we explore different things and do different things, and of course our parents now instill a lot of fear into us, from a young age, from 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 disciplining us pretty much for things that we do wrong. And sometimes it's in a way where it's not even like, it's not in the most it's not in the most healthiest way, to be honest. It's not in the most healthiest way. And it's not their fault, of course, because this is the society that we've grown up in, and it's like it was passed down from their parents to them, and now they're passing it down to their kids. So they're not the ones to blame, and even the parents aren't the ones to blame, because this is passed down generations to generations. So it's a generational poison. It's generational poisons, pretty much. So you can't really put blame on nobody. It's just to be aware of it and to spread awareness, if anything, to have more people aware of these things, so that they don't keep passing on poison to each other. You know, that we can, like, you know, more avoid the problem. Nobody's perfect, of course. You know, nobody's gonna be perfect. There's always there's always gonna be something at the end of the day. None of us are perfect, so I don't feel like seeking for perfection makes the situation any better either. It's just to be more aware and to try and make wiser decisions and do the best that you can. And, you know, as we're growing up, we get a lot of poison instilled in us that builds up a lot of fear. Um, you know, it builds up anger. You know, it builds up, you know, jealousy towards other situations. It builds up sadness. And when we're not really releasing it the right way, that's the thing. It just keeps building up. Keeps building up because a lot of us lose the fear to even talk about it, to even express ourselves. You know, and so all of that stuff is just bottled up inside, which is another way to just totally cause a lot of harm to your internals when you really think about it. Because if you're just leaving poison just building up within inside of you, then it couldn't be good for your body. It couldn't be good for your spirit at all. So finding a positive outlet, positive way to release it, is something I'd say is necessary for healing, for sure. You know, whether it's some form of art, you know, a form of talking to somebody, you know, taking a walk in nature, you know, doing something that, you know, can kind of release the pain. You know, even like thinking about it and looking at it from a positive point of view and letting it go, you know? Look at it like a learning process and letting it go. Now, it's not to say that we're not going to bump into people that are going to do these things again, try to do these things again to us, but I feel like it's all about the way that we actually handle these things and the decisions that we make towards these things. You know, when you were a kid, you know, you probably got beatings for things, you know, like if you did something wrong, then you got a beating, right? And you looked at it all the time. You looked at it sometimes like, what did I do so wrong for you to beat me like this, or for you to discipline me like this? Because you know you're a kid, you know, like you're pure, you know, you're not really, you're innocent. So everything that you're doing, is coming from an innocent place. So when you get certain discipline, it's like it instills fear in you to not only not do them things again, but it just instills a fear in you to the point where it's kind of past that point, you know. It makes you look at more things like, you know, like in a scared way, in like a fearful way. And you know, or those things grow with you as you grow up. And I find that when you start healing from these things, you know how to better handle a situation, you know, where somebody is trying to provoke those same kind of pains, you know, provoke that same kind of poison, you know, because of course there's certain things that you don't want to tolerate, and of course all of us have different kind of boundaries, you know. Mine, for instance, I don't like being disrespected. I don't like people trying to feel like they can get the ups on me. I don't like being taken advantage of. I don't like being taken for granted. I don't like being lied to, even though I've lied in the past. But I've chosen to take a more honest route now. And I choose not to allow that kind of those kind of things into my life. Meaning, like, if I see that somebody's lying, then most likely I'm moving away from that. You know, it's not even to say I'm gonna get even, because that's the thing. I don't feel like it's healthy to be trying to get even with people, really and truly, and trying to play them at their game, really and truly, and not to put any judgment on anybody, because we all slip up and we end up doing it. We all slip up and end up following up people's actions, But I'm just saying it's not the most healthiest way. It's not the healthy way to handle it in general. It builds up a poison within you because now you're taking, you're getting that poison from these people. You're accepting the poison actually from these people, because you're letting it actually hurt you and affect you. So that's one thing, is to try and fight the urge of, letting it actually affect you and letting it make you feel some sort of way. It hurts. I know it's hard to do that when it's people that you really care about and it's people that you actually love. You know, me, I'm a very loving person, so like I can understand that. But it's for you to actually set boundaries. When you see stuff that actually you don't like, at the end of the day, you just move away from it. You don't feed into it. You don't play their game, because it could turn into something a lot worse, where it's a worse poison put out. Depending on the kind of person that you are. If you're a very strong person, then you might go to the extent of hurting these people even more, you know? Whether it's physically, whether it's mentally, you might take it to a whole next extent that it really didn't need to be taken to. So once you understand these things, the thing is you don't want to play yourself, because you release any kind of poison, just know that it's going to be returned. It's going to be returned to you some way, somehow. So instead of you going over their extent just to justify, just to find justice, you know, I say that well, me personally, how I look at it is that you should laugh it off. You should laugh it off and move away from those kind of people that aim to make you feel some kind of way, that aim to make you feel these emotions, these like anger, like jealousy, like hypocrisy, sadness, And it's not to say that these things won't creep in. These emotions will creep in. So you can feel these emotions, but how you act on them can be totally different from what you feel. Meaning that, yeah, you could feel angered, you could feel sad, you could feel, but you don't need to act on it in a way that's gonna intensify those emotions, if you get what I'm saying. If you move on it in a way that's gonna intensify the emotions, then it's a buildup of that poison. So you're just feeding that poison. You're feeding the parasite that's within you and within the other person. So with that being said, it's just being more aware, We're not gonna be perfect. We're gonna slip up time from time. It happens. Like we're humans at the end of the day. We came here for this experience, and it's pretty much a part of the experience. Yeah, we'd be faithful that this could be a world where everybody was moving in a manner where it wasn't poisonous in that way, but the way that society pushes all of these negative narratives on us, and a lot of negativity, it's natural, it's natural. And at the end of the day, just being more aware and discerning about the actions that we make can actually keep us in a place of healing, keep us in a place where we feel a lot better within ourselves, because you ain't go, like, me personally, I've never really felt good to going like to somebody's extent, to getting even, to even going past getting even, I've never found any joy or happiness within that. And I've done it. Like, I've went to the point of getting even with people, and even past the point of getting even with people, like doing the most, when somebody has done something hurtful to me. Has it made me feel happy or made me feel any better? No, not really. The thing that usually makes me feel good or better is moving away from the things that I don't want to experience, the things that I don't want to see people do to me. Moving away from it and finding people that are more aligned with the things that, that I want to be around. That's what it breaks down to. But if this helped in any way, throw a comment in the chat. Subscribe if you new to the channel. And yeah, share it with a friend. Share it with somebody that might need it, that actually is going through some of these things. Because I went through a lot of these kind of things in my life. Growing up. You know, when I was like in my teenage years, in my early 20s, and even in my later 20s. So yeah, if you got any help from this, just hit the like and yeah, share with a friend. But love and peace to all y'all, and I pray that y'all have a blessed night. And we out of here. Outie. We outie. I'm just trying to find out how to close this. Hey, hold up. How do I stop it? How do I get out? How do I get out?